Hey, welcome back. It's Jimmy the Mad Vapor. Today I've got the DNA 40 Vaporflask version 2. I received this for review by Vaper Alley, and I'm glad I did. This thing is amazing. It's got digital switch mode, DC to DC converter, some of the other things, wattage control, temperature protection, preheat, step up, step down, topology. I probably pronounced that wrong. Digital user controls. But what does that all mean in this little box, this little chip? What does that all mean? What it breaks down to is no more dry hits. Temperature regulated vaping. No more worrying about volts. You really don't even have to worry about your watts. You go set your base wattage. It's going to fluctuate. It's going to go up to preheat. It's going to go down to give you a 400-degree vape. If you want a 200-degree vape, you set it. Once it's set, you're not going to get a dry hit. It's going to sense when your coils are getting too hot. That means they're dry. When it's dry, it's going to go down to less than a watt to a watt of power and not burn your cotton. And I found it hard to believe at first that this little device, just by using nickel wire, could sense all that. And after using it, it's phenomenal. You can vape all day, not worry about dry hits. Produces an extreme amount of vapor. For the coil I've got in here, I've got a single 10-wrap coil. 10-wrap single coil, you would think that's a high ohms, but nickel, that's a 0.16. 0.1. You talk about sub-ohm, people. This is sub-ohm, but it's sub-ohm on regulated sub-ohm. It's totally new technology here. It's going to change everything. Never in my life I would think I would see clouds coming out of something I'm running at 35 watts. But it's here, people. This is the future. It's going to happen to all our devices. And it's a good thing. Who likes to try how this thing works? As you're vaping, you want a 500-degree vape. Say that's what I've got, 500-degree vape. Initially, it's going to preheat that coil by jumping your wattage up. So if you had it set for, say, 35 watts, it could jump it up as much as 40 watts just to heat up that coil quicker, like hitting the gas pedal in a car when you accelerate. Then when it gets down to the temperature, the desired temperature that you've set, your target temp, within 100 degrees of it, it starts to drop down the volt or the wattage. Just like in a car where you're letting off the gas as you're hitting 50 miles an hour. It's letting off that wattage, saving you power. And you may only be using 13 watts, 15 watts, depending on how hot your coil's getting. So as your coil temperature rises, your wattage lowers down. When it gets to that target level, it stops, and it just stays at that perfect level. We're talking about something totally different. This is not like anything you've vaped on before. And the end result of that is no dry hits and a massive amounts of clouds on a low wattage device. I never thought I would see this. Never. And I've got a single microcoil in there. Just one single microcoil. And as you see, she's dry right now. You see hardly any vapor coming off of it. That's because it can sense that it's dry. It's not giving me a burn taste. But as soon as you put some juice back in it, put a little juice back in it, it lowers the temperature of your coil when you hit the button. Revs it right back up again. It's amazing. Let's go ahead and break her down. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and put dual coils in this beast and see what happens with dual coils. We'll do dual 14 wraps. That should be around 0.1, somewhere in there. Let's go ahead and build her.
Guys, let's go ahead and build this dual coil in here. First thing we'll show you that this wire, this is just 28 gauge. Look how how soft that is. It is some soft wire. So it works a lot differently than the regular Canthal or nichrome roll wire that you're used to. Alright, let's just do 14 wraps on a 30 millimeter. I'm sorry. Let's do 14 wraps on a 3 millimeter bit. Yeah, right here, 3 millimeters. Wraps. Now look how soft this wire is. I'm just going to push it together with my thumbs. Put these together. And we don't need no wire cutters or nothing. She snips with a pair of scissors there. This wire is super soft. Put the first coil in. So that's right in like butter, I'm telling you. Positive. I just face it up. When you go to tighten these down, because it's so soft, just snug it to where you feel it, and just a hair more than that. That's it. I mean, your wires will be cut quick if you do anything more than that. Get another coil out. Usually do a lot tighter job, but since I got a little camera right here, I'm just doing something quick. And with this nickel wire, you'll see when I go to heat it up, it ain't no problem at all to heat it up and push them together slightly with a pair of tweezers. Second coil in here. Like I showed before, snug it down, you'll feel it. As soon as you feel it, just a hair more. Might tighten it up a little more than that later, but for now that's all we want. Okay, middle, tighten her up, and a hair more. Lift and push the coil where you want it. And you don't need much to push these coils around. Watch. I'm just going to lift up and push over with my thumb each way. And it's almost like I pressed that coil already. Lift up, push over. It's almost like I've pressed it and I haven't even heated it up yet. Alright, I got her all lined up. I'm going to ask you if it's a new coil or same coil. Obviously it's a new coil. The temperature protection is going to kick in really fast. There's no juice on there, so let's turn that for temperature protection off. Going above 600. That lock turns it off. And we'll let it heat up. After they heat up a few times, your ohms will bottom out. Be real careful with it though, because this stuff is soft. Heating up from the middle, like she is. Ain't the prettiest, but oh, she's gonna blow some clouds. Get some cotton out. Don't worry too much if it moves. They're going to move around when you're wicking them up. Don't worry about it, because you just take your thumb, push it right back where it was. That's not a problem. Last piece of cut through there. Go. Let's take that cotton. What I like to do is just tuck it right underneath the coil. Maybe a little bit of air under the coil, but not too much. Coil went down a little bit, pull that up a little bit. You can make the smallest adjustments with anything on this coils. I mean, they're super soft. Yeah, I can't stress that enough, this nickel wire. It is soft. Okay, now at this point I like to tighten up those coils just slightly. Not everything's set, ain't gonna move too much. Middle one just a hair more. And a little more. That one. Let's put some juice on it. And don't forget to switch it back to standard mode, or switch it back to that temperature mode. Hold those two up and down buttons while it's locked and turn this thing down. Let's go to like 450 degrees where I'm usually like. You know what? Let's keep it 450. Unscrew the coil, screw it back on. That lets the device recognize it. New coil setup. Okay, there you go. Temperature mode kicked in. Once it realized it was nickel wire. Juice it up pretty good first. Not too much juice. Alright, let's go through some of the menus that are on this device. 5 times to lock it. You can hold down the fire button and the bottom button to go into stealth mode. Hold it down again to leave stealth mode. Pretty basic stuff. The top button is lefty righty mode, so it's the fire button. Once it's locked, fire button plus the top button, lefty righty. If you hold down up and down at the same time while it's locked, they'll say hold to change temp. That's how you change your temperature. You go down to 200 up to 600, or turn it off to go back into volts. Let's lock that in by logging out. And then if you hold the plus and minus down at the same time while it's unlocked, it'll lock your wattage in. I don't even think they show you that in the directions, but that'll lock your wattage in so you don't accidentally change it, which I'll leave it locked because I don't really need it unlocked. As you see the wattage change. It's 35.6. You'll see it go up or down. 35.6. And it'll just keep on going down to achieve that 450 degree vape. Alright, let's go ahead and take a vape on it.
Alright, we got her all back together with the dual coils in here. 14 wraps on a 3 millimeter 8.12. That's sub-ohming. The lowest you can go on this is a 0.1. That is the soft limit for this device, and as high as a 1. So all your tanks and stuff, now your tanks, they're coming out with rebuildable, the coils for your Nautilus and stuff, they're coming out, I hear this, they're coming out with nickel bills in them soon. So you'll have the option of buying a nickel bill, heat sensitive coil for your Nautilus. Slap it on here and you're not going to have to worry about building with nickel. So when that day comes, oh, everybody's going to be going nuts with that. You're going to have Atlantis with a nickel build. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be great. So let's go over the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. Machining on this device is phenomenal. Everything is buttery smooth when it goes on. There's only 3 things to really go on: is your atomizer and 2 buttons on the bottom. But all 3 of them buttery smooth. The machining, or the paint job on this, I think it's like a powder coating myself. It doesn't scratch. I've had this in my pocket with my keys. There's no scratch. It looks like the day I took it out of the box. The weight of it's good, and the design where it's that flask shape fits in your hand no matter if you're a lefty or if you're a righty. It just fits perfect. No more dry hits. That's a huge plus. That's where this is going. Cons, the only con I have is it doesn't sit flush with some of the addies. If it's the center post on your addy is real tall, even screwing that all the way down, you might have the width of a paper clip under, not a paper clip, a piece of paper. It's just a very slight gap. You can barely see it there. That is the only con I have on this, that they should have maybe put a spring-loaded center pin in there versus a screw-down center pin. But for the most part, this thing is unbelievable. You really ought to think about getting one of these. I would. Even if I didn't receive this from Vapor Alley, if I had tried this out in the store, I would have bought this. Especially with the no more dry hits. That's the biggest seller for me, is the no more dry hits. And it's got the power of a large box in a small box. I'm vaping 35 watts. I'm producing something that came out of my IPv3 at 100 watts. So I love this device. I'm probably going to continue to keep using it, and probably my IPv3 is probably going to sit there and collect some dust now that I have this device. It's just so nice. I love not having the dry hits. Alright, well, that's with Jimmy the Mad Vapor with the Vaporflask version 3. Really check one out. $139 on Vape Alley's website. Jimmy the Mad Vapor, and I'll see you next time.